Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. I was standing in a shadowy corner of the big room where a party was happening. I watched a man and a woman dancing closely, looking deeply into each other's eyes. The woman's breaths were deep as the man pulled her close, their bodies fitting together. They moved gracefully, the man agile like an athlete and the woman keeping up well. Everyone watched them, feeling a strong connection between them, maybe more than just friendship. The woman had blonde hair that flowed softly as she leaned on him, though it seemed more like he was holding her there rather than her choice. I might have felt jealous of how close they were if the woman wasn't my wife of 11 years, now dancing with her boss. Instead, I felt really angry and embarrassed. This wasn't the first time we'd been to her company's yearly party, and everyone knew she was married to me. I saw people looking for me, knowing there would be a confrontation soon. After 3 dances, they stopped dancing and went to sit with their coworkers at a table. I watched as she looked at him with the same love she used to look at me with. It had been a while since I saw her look like that, and it made me feel even more disgusted. I felt like I was about to explode with anger, but I tried to keep it in. I struggled with my feelings. On one hand, I felt scared, angry, and bitter about what I was seeing. But on the other hand, I still loved, respected, and trusted my wife. It was a fight I was losing, no matter how hard I tried to fight it. Now I was starting to feel really sad and sorry for myself, bowing my head in defeat. For months, I had been trying everything to make things right between us. I planned special dates, did chores around the house, turned off the TV, and tried to talk to her. But she always walked away. I even left her flowers, heartfelt notes, and loving cards, only to find them thrown away. I sent flowers to her work, but got no response. I wondered what else I could do but wait. Trying to push these upsetting thoughts away, I went to the bar in the corner of the room, where Mary Ann, someone my wife used to work with, was standing. "Having a good time?" I asked, trying to act casual. "I always enjoy these parties," she replied. I smiled and nodded, raising my empty glass. "Me too. By the way, I haven't seen Jason's wife around. Any idea where she might be? I hope my anxiety didn't betray me. She always dresses so elegantly and is delightful to converse with. Didn't Kels mention that today Jason served her with divorce papers? I guess she was neglecting her marital responsibilities." Marian blurted out, her words lacking much filter as she reached a certain level of intoxication. I found her lack of restraint rather fitting. "No, I don't think so, especially since it's Friday night and all. We came straight here after I finished work, and there wasn't any time for gossiping." I didn't just stretch the truth, it was a blatant lie. We took the afternoon off to get ready for tonight. She had lots of chances to talk about it, but she didn't. I said this while refilling my drink and getting a glass of wine for Kelsey. Then I went over to where Kelsey and Jason were standing. They were so into each other that they didn't notice me coming. "Kels, I got you some wine," I said, giving her the glass. She got a bit surprised when she heard me. "Oh, you scared me," she said, taking the glass. "Thanks, honey." The longer we stayed, the more uncomfortable everyone felt. People started finding things to look at around the room instead of making eye contact. Some were probably wondering what I was thinking and how I didn't seem to notice. A younger guy, about 25, even smiled at me when he saw me looking at the table. We looked at each other for a moment, but then he stopped smiling and found the tablecloth interesting too. Around 1 in the morning, many guests had already left. But it was clear that Kelsey wasn't ready to leave her dance partner yet. "We still need to take the babysitter home, and we promised we wouldn't keep her past 2 tonight," I said, realizing I was interrupting Kelsey's time with Jason. "Okay, I guess it's time for us to go. See you on Monday," she said with a smile. We all felt relieved as the awkwardness was ending. "Jason, it was nice to see you," I said, reaching out my hand for a handshake, and he shook it back. He had a firm grip, evidently trying to assert his strength. Standing 3 inches taller than my 6 feet, he was outweighed by about 15 pounds, and I noticed a slight paunch on my stomach. Pressing a bit firmer than usual, I met his gaze, sensing deceit and self-righteousness in his eyes. Eventually, he released my hand and bid us good night. I waved to the remaining guests as we exited the room and headed to the car. We remained silent during the drive home, although Kelsey wore a radiant smile. Upon arriving home, Kelsey checked on Caitlin, our 9-year-old daughter, while I settled up with Brittany and prepared to take her home. Upon my return, I headed to the bedroom to find Kelsey, already asleep in bed. After checking on Caitlin, I visited the bathroom before retiring to the spare room for the night. I knew any possibility of closeness between us was out of the question tonight. As I struggled to recall the last time we had been carnal, with my eyes closing, the ceiling was the last thing I saw before slipping into a restless sleep. Rising early on Saturday morning, I mentally went through my checklist for the day, and I offered a slight wave from the doorway. "Have you had breakfast yet?" I inquired. "Yep," she confirmed, waving a spoon dripping with milk, splattering drops onto the carpet. "All right, settle down. Mom's still sleeping, and I need to get to work in my office," I reminded her. "Got it, Dad," she replied with unnecessary volume, causing me to chuckle. At about 8:30, I called my lawyer's cell phone. I knew he usually worked from home on Saturday mornings. "Good morning, Bill. It's Matthew Franks," I said. "Morning, Matt. I'm guessing this isn't a happy call," he replied, already expecting what I was going to say. "You're right. It's time to start the plan. I found out that Jason served his wife yesterday." "Any word if Kelsey has consulted with a lawyer yet?" "I don't think so, but I'll double check. Let's meet at the coffee shop in half an hour. Make sure to sign and date the forms with my assistant for notarization. We'll file the paperwork first thing Monday morning and serve her at lunch." Bill outlined the plan. "Sounds good to me. See you soon," I confirmed before ending the call. Arriving early at the coffee shop, I offered a faint smile to the person behind the counter before collecting my order and settling into a cozy chair by the fireplace. Lost in thought, I never imagined I'd be divorcing the one true love of my life. It's challenging to pinpoint the exact moment when you realize your comfortable life is unraveling. For me, it was triggered by a traffic ticket, one of those automatic camera checks for running a red light. When the notice arrived in the mail, I chuckled, instantly recognizing it as Kelsey's doing. She always flipped on her headlights when in a rush. I opened the envelope, deciding to silently shed tears instead of speaking. It seemed futile to confront this directly. The photo depicted Kelsey with a man's shoulder and arm visible beside her. Though his face wasn't visible, I knew who it was. Nothing seemed particularly suspicious. She could have been at lunch or a meeting. I checked the date, March 5th, and something about it bothered me. Recalling our text messages, I remembered plans to stop by Mary's after work to pick up clothes for Kate. At the time, it didn't strike me as unusual. Despite my suspicions, I dismissed them, attributing it to Mary's usual generosity. Checking the intersection on Google Maps revealed it was on the opposite end of town from Mary's residence. Still, I tried to convince myself it could be innocent. However, as I pieced together events since late November, doubts grew. Kelsey had kept a low profile and holiday arguments became commonplace. By January, affection dwindled and our conversations revolved around work or Caitlin. We no longer discussed our dreams, family vacations, or our future together. Since I was a kid, I've had a trust fund. It started when my great-grandfather bought land in the Pacific Northwest. He sold parts of it as the town grew. When he died, I got money from those sales, which added to the fund. Then, when my grandfather passed away, it grew even more. Luckily, my family was self-sufficient, so I never had to use it. The money stayed steady and even got a bit bigger with some interest. When my dad died and my mom was already gone, I inherited all our family stuff, which I combined with my trust fund. We had enough money to live comfortably forever. But Kelsey and I kept working and making more money. To protect the trust fund, I got a prenup before we got married, thinking about our future retirement. Throughout our marriage, Kelsey and I regularly updated our prenup and wills. One clause that remained unchanged was the standard divorce clause delineating asset ownership. We also included a provision for Caitlin's education in case of my pass away or divorce with specific conditions regarding the circumstances. To ensure preparedness, I maintained access to legal and accounting services. Seeking advice, I reached out to my lawyer for a referral to the best local divorce attorney, scheduling a consultation later in the week to explore my options. Given our sturdy prenup, he remained unworried about potential financial concerns. I clarified that, while I wasn't ready to take drastic action yet, I sought guidance on the next steps. "Well, Matt, one option is to hire a private investigator to delve into the situation and ascertain if there's cause for concern. Unfortunately, all my PIS are currently tied up with other cases. It'll be several weeks before they can prioritize yours. But I'm not keen on waiting. This is already keeping me up at night. Are there any other avenues we could explore? There is one possibility, albeit a somewhat dubious one. He's trying to turn over a new leaf, but he's not exactly the most trustworthy character. We affectionately refer to him as Larry the Rogue," Bill elaborated. "He's a former cop who got the boot due to complaints and some shady dealings. He could get started immediately, but I'm hesitant to recommend a long-term partnership with him." "Why the nickname?" I inquired with a chuckle. "I want to make sure everything is legal, so if we find anything, we're safe. If we need to go forward, that's okay." "Is he trustworthy?" "I've heard he's good at getting evidence like detailed photos, videos, emails, and phone calls that might be a bit tricky to use in court. but they say his findings are proof that someone's cheating one way or another. As long as he stays within the law, we can work with him for now and switch to a better private investigator later on, maybe in a couple of weeks. Pausing, I added, "Can he start today, you think? I'll give him a call and see. I'll keep you updated here at the office. Does that sound good?" I dealt with paperwork for both the lawyer and the investigator, connected him with my accountant, and kept the money for him separate from my personal account so Kelsey wouldn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to alarm her, especially if this turmoil in our marriage was just a passing phase. Meanwhile, amidst these proceedings, I endeavored to mend my relationship with my wife. Life had taught me that significant changes and out-of-character actions usually have underlying causes. Uncertain about what drove my wife's behavior and whether we were beyond reconciliation, I resolved to fulfill my husbandly duties. Taking matters into my own hands, I showered her with affection and aimed to become the epitome of a loving and supportive husband. Yet my efforts were met with rejection at every turn, signaling that we may have reached an irreversible breaking point. One Thursday afternoon, I was summoned to my lawyer's office to review the findings unearthed by the rogue investigator. I was presented with hours of footage capturing their liaisons, carnal encounters, and apparent bliss as a couple. The evidence left me both impressed and repulsed by the rogue's methods, affirming the appropriateness of his moniker. I sat there devastated. The idea of Kelsey having an affair with Jason Stanton was inconceivable to me. I could see the appeal of Jason, tall, handsome, and well-built, with a promising career trajectory. Taking charge of Kelsey's department as his personal assistant about a year ago, he had ample opportunity to integrate into her life. A former college baseball star sidelined by a shoulder injury in his senior year. Jason's achievements were impressive, but I never imagined Kelsey allowing him to wedge between us. The weight of it all was crushing. I struggled to breathe, my chest constricted, my vision blurred, and I felt lightheaded. Pushing my chair back, I leaned forward trying to steady my breath. Inhaling and exhaling deeply, I fought to regain clarity of mind. The sense of loss and emptiness was indescribable. I had lost my confidant, my partner, my lover, and the mother of my child. In that moment, I saw no way forward. Then it worsened. He played back the recording from the day before, revealing why he had gathered us all together. "Really? Do you love me?" Her voice was tinged with excitement. "Yes, my dear. You're perfect. I love you, and I want us to be a family." "You mean you, me, and Caitlin?" "Exactly. What about Matt and Shannon?" "We'll divorce them, and we'll be happy together." There was a shocked silence as Kelsey tried to process what her lover just said. "You really love me, Kels?" "Yes, absolutely. I hadn't really thought about leaving Matt." "Think about it for a moment. He can't give you what I can. You'll be at the top of everything, part of the rich and famous. You'll go to amazing places and have luxuries he could only dream of." I heard the disrespect in his voice, imagining the look on his face. Leaving Caitlin would crush him. "Where is the problem? I'll be a much better dad than he could ever be. In a year, she won't even want to see him. Why do you hate him so much? What has he done to you?" Her voice held a touch of concern. "Truthfully, I wondered the same. He's not worthy of you, Kels. He lacks ambition, content to remain stagnant. He's just a cog enriching someone else. Did you know he's a plant manager? His facility employs 400 people, boasting the highest production and revenue per square foot." I felt a twinge of pride that Kelsey was aware, though I would have preferred this discussion in their own dining room rather than a hotel room. "He's weak, a beta without drive or ambition, never even pursued an MBA. He served his purpose, honey. I could easily crush him any day of the week." "Jason, don't assume you're superior to Matt. He's not weak. You don't know his backstory. He associated with rough crowds and is skilled with firearms. He nearly took a dark path, but chose education. That's why he delayed college after high school. Now she seemed to boast. He's stronger and tougher than you realize. Promise me you won't resort to violence. I don't want either of you getting hurt. Matt's for Kate's sake and you're for mine, but I'm not. I'm in love with him. I wished it were true, but you replaced him as my man." "My love," she paused, pondering. "How will it work when we divorce them simultaneously? I need to prepare before serving Shannon. Given her mental health issues and our year-long celibacy, it shouldn't be challenging. I'll split everything 50-50. She probably won't say no." "All right, but you have to start the process with Shannon before I talk to a lawyer." She was very determined. It seemed like she wanted to make sure she stayed secure and didn't want to risk her comfortable life, even for love. "Come here, let's turn off the recording," I gestured, knowing we didn't need to listen anymore. I looked at Bill, trying to figure out what to do next. "You go ahead and make the first move, Matt." "But what if she changes her mind? They hardly ever do that, Mr. Franks, he said seriously. I'm afraid they've come to a point where nothing you say or do will change their minds, Bill added. I looked closely at the man for the first time. He seemed to be in his 30s, in good shape, and his suit was perfectly fitted, unlike what I expected. Polite and thoughtful, I started to see him more as Larry than just some guy. It seemed like he really cared, even though he was getting paid. Do you still want her after knowing all this? Larry asked, saying what Bill had said. You're probably right, Larry, I said, turning to Bill. Give me a day or two to think, and I'll let you know. All right, sounds good, Matt. Shall we draft the documents now and finalize details later or halt the process if needed? Bill proposed. Yes, let's proceed that way. I agreed. Larry handed me his business card as we concluded. Here's my personal number, Mr. Franks, in case you ever need me. Please, Larry, call me Matt, I insisted. Thank you, Matt. If you decide to pursue revenge, I know some people who could assist. After all, they don't call me Larry the Dastard for nothing, he remarked with a grin. Appreciative but uncertain, I responded, Nice meeting you, Larry. I'll reach out if I need assistance. Though I doubt I could go through with it against Kells, it's reassuring to know I have support if I choose that path. With a smile, Larry bid farewell and departed in his car. Throughout the weekend, I grappled with my decision, struggling to focus on anything else. It seemed Kelsey was oblivious to the gravity of the situation, having already decided our family's fate. Doubt, anger, fear, and disappointment consumed me, particularly the loss of my identity and family. Caitlin's future weighed heavily on my mind, aggravated by the thought of this arrogant man raising her. Emotions ran rampant, leaving me in a fog of confusion until Sunday morning when clarity dawned. Sitting on the back porch with a pounding headache, it dawned on me that this fate was inevitable. Regardless of my resistance, I'd already lost my wife and family. Now it was a matter of how and on whose terms. The saying, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way, resonated with me. I refused to step aside or follow these schemers. There was only one option left, to lead. On Monday morning, I phoned Bill. Bill, it's Matt Franks calling. Good morning, Matt. Any progress on finding a solution? Yes, I'd like you to complete all the necessary paperwork, including only the legal photos Larry obtained. Split everything evenly. I hesitated. Do you think we should sell the house? Yes, we used a low-interest loan from my trust to purchase it, so essentially we've been paying ourselves all along. We'll divide any proceeds from the sale, but I'll repay the full loan amount and the accumulated interest. Also, please allocate $200,000 from my trust to Kells as a considerate payment for her services. It might soften her stance if she knows she won't be left destitute. I want to have Kate live with me most of the time. I know it won't be easy, but maybe Larry can find some bad stuff about Jason that shows he's not a good dad. I heard he did some crazy things in college. Maybe he went too far. Can you ask Larry to check into this? I have a plan in case I don't get primary custody of Kate. If that happens, make a fair plan for us to share taking care of her. Let Bill know what I just said. Also, I'm going to sue Jason for causing problems in my relationship with Kate. I want to include his wife, Shannon, in this too, but I'll make sure it's all legal. On that note, I'd like you to devise another infidelity divorce plan for her. I'll cover the expenses. While we can serve them both in the exclusion room, it's unlikely to yield significant results. I'll also need Shannon to sign a contract with me. I can start drafting the forms, but without her consent or details, I'm unable to proceed further. Bill clarified, I see what you're aiming for. It's about stirring the pot a bit, and while we're at it, I want to sue Kelsey's employer for permitting her affair with her boss. While their rulebook might not mention anything about morals, it's not right for a company to ignore such bad behavior, especially when he's her boss. It might not get very far, but let's stir things up and see what happens. Got it, Matt, but this could cost a lot and get worse. We'll need a lot of people involved, and if it gets worse, we don't want them to make money unfairly. Like your dad used to say, hiring a lawyer is like bargaining for the price. Bill laughed at my joke about lawyers and said, your dad was smart. Just remember, you don't have to give her any money from your trust. Your prenup is strong. I understand, Bill. But after reflecting on it over the weekend, I've decided that if I don't leave her in financial straits, she might be more inclined to meet my terms. And truthfully, she deserves it. She put in hard work and supported me. We were both saving for our future together. I figured it might give her an edge over Jason so she won't have to rely on him as much when she's on her own. She deserves better. But there's no way I'm giving that cheating scoundrel Jason more than he's already taken from me in life. I mean, my wife should have been enough. As I spoke, I felt a surge of anger, thinking about how Jason had seized the life that should have been mine. Despite the circumstances, I always strived to be fair in my relationships and wanted to ensure I treated Kelsey with fairness, even if she didn't reciprocate. My solace is knowing that Caitlin will understand my actions later on, when she sees how our family fell apart. Before I forget, Bill, hold off on any filings for now. I want everything prepared and ready to go, but I prefer to wait for her to make the initial. This way I'll have more time with Kate in our family home. I know there will come a point when I have to act, but I want to delay until the very last moment when I can't bear it any longer. Got it. We'll keep everything undated and notarized until you're ready. I work from home on Saturday morning, so feel free to call me then too. We can't file until Monday morning anyway, but I'll have someone ready to serve them as soon as the doors open. Okay, that's the plan. Goodbye for now. I retrieved Larry's business card from my pocket and dialed the number. Larry, it's Matt Franks. How's it going? I'm good, he replied. Are you ready for some dirty work? Well, kind of, but I need you to hold off until I give the green light. No problem, Matt. What's the game plan? Can we meet up? Yes, give me an hour. Sounds good, I said. I was already waiting when he arrived in the parking lot. After getting some coffee and a snack, he sat across from me. I want to collect all the evidence that shows he's doing bad stuff. Pictures, videos, recordings, everything. And we need to find a way to send it to Shannon Stanton without her knowing it's from us, maybe through email. No problem. I know someone who does stuff on the dark web, Larry said. How about we post a video on a website or send mean messages to Kelsey's parents or coworkers? That guy's sneaky, I thought. No, Kel still has to stay in town. I wouldn't want her to be so humiliated that she leaves town with Kate. And despite everything, I still love her even if she doesn't love me anymore. I slid an envelope containing $5,000 in cash across the table. This should help you get started, but let me know if you need more. Larry accepted the money and glanced at me. I think $3,000 will suffice. He may be tough, but at least he's straightforward. Consider the rest as an advance.
I might require your expertise later.
Remember, stay on standby until I contact you. I want to catch them off guard, and I have my reasons for allowing them to make the first move. Oh, and we also need to gather information on his wife's health issues. Her medical background could impact our decisions down the line. Can you handle that? Absolutely, Larry replied. And Bill mentioned you were looking into Jason's college years. I'm hoping to uncover something useful if custody becomes a battle. Larry nodded, jotting down a few notes on his pad. After finishing our coffee and exchanging stories about his past experiences as a cop and people we might have known, we shook hands and parted ways. That was 3 months ago. My thoughts returned to the present as Bill arrived, followed shortly by his assistant and Larry. Ready to proceed? Bill inquired once we were all seated. Yes, it seems that way. Larry, do we have any indication if Kelsey has sought legal counsel? As far as I know, no, I replied. I quickly checked her email after Bill's call and didn't find anything. I'll take a closer look today and should know by Monday morning. Larry grinned and gave me a knowing wink. What about Jason? Does he have any secrets? I asked, feeling a bit hopeful. Well, he was being looked into during his time in the fraternity. There were claims about drugs being used to take advantage of dates and underage girls at parties, Larry said. I have copies of everything and already gave them to Bill, I told everyone. Bill looked up and said, I have them in case we need them for the custody hearing. I got the papers we'd been working on for months and signed where I needed to. Bill's assistant notarized them, and then I turned to the group. Larry, can you find out who Shannon Stanton hired as her lawyer and tell Bill? Bill, if he's competent, could you share our legal file with him? What if he's not up to par? Bill inquired. Then we'll figure out a way to connect you with Shannon. But I prefer we handle it properly. Bill, can I collect the documents on Monday afternoon? I plan to hand the paperwork to Kelsey personally first, informing her of the situation, and then you can officially serve her on Tuesday. Bill nodded understandingly and conferred with his assistant about preparing the server for Tuesday. I believe we can begin reaching out to Shannon since she'll likely be updated soon. Bill, you can share the file with Shannon's lawyer on Monday afternoon, provided it doesn't interfere with my discussion with Kelsey on Monday evening. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling deeply. Things should be fully underway by Wednesday. Matt, have you considered where Kelsey will stay on Monday night? Bill inquired suddenly. Would it be an issue for her to stay at the house for a few days? No, unless a restraining order is obtained and she consents, I wouldn't share a bed with her. Legally, it shouldn't be an issue, but it might make you uneasy. I'd worry about how a less scrupulous lawyer might exploit this information, Bill added. All right, I'll give her a week to find alternate accommodations. We're not carnal at the moment, so I don't foresee any issues. Oh, you mean sharing the same bed? But our documents grant me temporary control of the house and custody of Kate, right? Yes, until her attorney files a motion to overturn the arrangement, or until we all reach a consensus. I meant actually sharing the same bed. It might give off an odd vibe, Bill explained. Don't worry, we're not sharing a bed currently. Hey, Larry, what did you uncover about Shannon's health? She's been battling depression and bipolar disorder for years. It seems like the medications made her lose interest in sex, so Mr. Wonderful looked for it somewhere else, I said. I'm not sure I want to know how you found that out, I added. Larry just smiled and shook his head, while Bill acted surprised. Bill, does this matter to our situation? I asked. Not right now. It might matter later when we talk about who should take care of Kate and where she should live, Bill explained. Bill wrote some notes on his iPad as we talked a bit more. Then we finished our planning and went back to our own tasks for the day. I felt a bit sad for the rest of the weekend, thinking about the responsibilities I had to face on Monday. Kelsey remained oblivious to any changes as expected. On Sunday, I arranged for my aunt to pick up Caitlin from school on Monday and care for her overnight, allowing me to discuss important family matters with Kelsey. They resided on a farm outside the city, and Caitlin enjoyed playing with their dogs and tending to the animals. She'll be taking Caitlin to school on Tuesday, and I've decided we'll break the news to Caitlin on Tuesday evening. I informed Caitlin about these arrangements, and while she was excited, she seemed a bit puzzled about why she had to wait until Tuesday. I simply explained that Mom and Dad needed some personal time to discuss everything. She reluctantly accepted it. I slept in the spare room again, and once more Kelsey didn't mention it. She visibly sighed with relief when she saw me heading there before bed. As I lay there Sunday night running through my checklist and reviewing my plan, I eventually drifted off to sleep. On Monday morning, I contacted my VP of Operations and requested a week off. I also reached out to my assistant and senior production manager to provide them with any necessary details while I was away. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I entered Bill's office and unexpectedly found Larry there. I noticed a stack of papers on the desk, and the bustling activity in the office indicated that everyone was occupied. We filed the paperwork at the courthouse this morning, and here are Kelsey's documents as you requested. We've arranged for the official filing at your home around 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Is that suitable? Bill inquired, handing me the envelopes. Yes, that should work. I'll try to persuade her to take the rest of the week off. I'll let you know if that changes. I responded. Great, that's settled. Bill paused momentarily to gather his thoughts before continuing. Larry found Shannon's lawyer, and he's quite competent. So I forwarded him our files, and he seemed quite eager. He might countersue for infidelity and aim for a larger share of their assets than just a 50-50 split. He assured me he won't take any action until tomorrow morning. So everything seems fine. Okay, gentlemen, are we forgetting anything? I inquired. Just a little update. It appears Kelsey has an appointment with her lawyer next week, based on her calls and emails. And Matt, please don't hesitate to reach out if you need further assistance, all right? Larry asked cautiously, earning another sharp glance from Bill regarding the ongoing situation. Great, sounds good, I responded, hoping I wouldn't have to delve any deeper into this mess. I guess it's all in Kelsey and Jason's hands now. Leaving Bill's office, I sent a text to Kelsey. Hey, Kels, will you be home by 5:30 tonight? I asked. Why, what's up? She replied. Nothing big. I was busy over the weekend and I wanted to catch up tonight, I said. I asked Aunt Alex to pick up Kate and keep her overnight. I thought I'd bring dinner home. Do you have any requests? That's thoughtful. Ready? She asked. I'll have dinner ready at 5:30, I said. I felt bad for doing this to her, but I'd been doing it a lot lately. I hoped she'd see it as me trying to be more loving. Kelsey got home around 5:15 and changed while I set the table and got the food ready. I poured us each a glass of wine and sat down waiting for her. She took a big sip from her glass when she sat with me. We ate and talked, and she didn't seem to know what was coming. What are you doing for the rest of the week? I inquired after we finished eating, both of us freely picking at our favorite dishes. Do you want to make plans? She asked, glancing at me sideways. No, I thought you might want to take a week off after we talk. I stated in a flat tone, trying to keep any emotion out of my voice. Why should I do that? You'll understand, Kels, I said. Placing the envelope on the table in front of her, she glanced at it and then back at me, taking another sip of wine. I'm aware of Jason and your intentions to file for divorce, I stated bluntly. She coughed slightly, surprised, and stared at me with a blank expression. I could see she was thinking hard, trying to understand how I found out and what she could do to slow me down. "What's going on?" she asked, finally understanding, talking about the meeting with the lawyer next week and Jason filing against Shannon. "I know you love him and plan to take Kate and leave me." I opened the bag and pushed some photos towards her. Her eyes got big as she put her glass down and picked up the photos, looking at them. I saw tears in her eyes and heard her start to hiccup a little, which showed she was upset. "I'm so sorry, Matthew. I never wanted any of this to happen." "I don't know what else to say," she said quietly, looking at the table. "I understand, Kels. I've been aware of your intentions for months now. I've had time to come to terms with it to some extent. It's incredibly disappointing and painful for me," I responded solemnly. I took a moment to compose myself, attempting to control my rising anger. "The only thing I need to know is if there's something I did or didn't do that pushed you toward Jason," I pressed. "God, no," she exclaimed, meeting my gaze briefly before looking away. "I think it just happened out of guilt and shame. You didn't do anything. You were a wonderful husband and father." "I just fell for him," she confessed, her voice breaking. I felt a mix of disappointment and relief. It seemed there was nothing I could do. If she had simply fallen out of love with me and chosen Jason, he had evidently taken enough time to win her over and push me out, leaving me powerless to stop it. Our marriage had reached its end, and all that remained was paperwork. I presented the terms of the divorce and handed them to her. "Here's the proposed agreement. I've already filed my application, so you won't need to do that. If you agree to my terms, the main points include upholding the prenuptial agreement, meaning my trust is off the table. I'm offering to sell off our joint assets and split them equally, including the house. Since I filed for divorce first, I want Caitlin to live with me most of the time. You'll pay a small amount for child support. You can visit her whenever you want. I'll keep her on my health insurance, but you need to get your own. You can keep your retirement savings and any money you got from your mom. I don't want to take what's yours. We'll split the money we save together. Kate and I will stay in the house until we sell it. Also, I'll give you $200,000 from my trust to help you start over. If you marry Jason, you should make a prenup to protect your money. I want to make sure you can support yourself, so I won't ask for any spousal support." I paused to let her process what I'd outlined. "I think I should have custody of Caitlin. She'll need her mother as she grows up," she asserted. "I wholeheartedly agree. But you can be involved through visits and calls. Frankly, I don't trust Jason with our daughter. I know he plans to win her over with gifts and charm. Since he couldn't have his own child, he wants mine. I'm already generous in letting him have you, but he won't have our daughter. I know we'll need to talk more about who Caitlin will live with. Let's have the lawyers handle it and try to be fair. I suggested giving you custody because I saw how upset Caitlin was when she talked to Jason. I don't think he would hurt her, but you should decide. Taking her away from you isn't the answer. For now, she'll stay with me until we figure out what to do. You can stay in the main bedroom for a few nights or a week while you sort things out. Kelsey, I still love you. I thought we'd do great things together, but what you're doing is breaking my heart, and I don't know what to do. It feels like my world is falling apart, but I'm trying to be fair and kind. I don't want to hurt you like I'm hurting, but if you make things worse or let Jason get involved, I'll have to do something. And I have resources that you and Jason don't have." My tone changed, and she could tell I was frustrated. "I can be tough if I have to. You've seen me do it before, so let's try to keep this conflict under control and let the lawyers handle it. I really want us to be civil and respectful. It's important for Caitlin to see us getting along. I want both of us to be a big part of her life. Please, I don't want our situation to turn into a long, bitter fight. I'm available until the end of the week, and according to legal protocol, you must be formally served, which is set to happen here at the house at 9 a.m. I didn't want to put you in an awkward spot at work, so you may want to consider taking a few days off as well. I know it'll be tough for both of us to share the same space, but I thought perhaps we could sit down with Caitlin tomorrow night, or keep her home on Wednesday to explain the situation. What are your thoughts?" Kelsey had lost her appetite and appeared visibly unwell, perhaps realizing the gravity of her actions. She had no one to blame but herself. I was content and oblivious until she disrupted it all. She glanced at me, looking bewildered, and conceded, "I'll notify work first thing and be home until Wednesday at least. Do you think Aunt Alex can keep Caitlin tomorrow night too? Maybe we'll keep her home from school tomorrow and bring her back Wednesday morning so we can talk." My investigator Larry found out everything after I felt like something was wrong. "I'll call Aunt Alex right away. It seems like a good idea." Kelsey nodded a little when I mentioned Larry, and she got some papers. I said goodnight to her and thought she needed time alone. I watched her go to the main bedroom and lock the door. But it didn't bother me because I'd already moved most of my stuff to the spare room. I called my aunt and told her about our family situation, and she said she'd keep Caitlin for an extra night and bring her over on Wednesday morning. I also told Caitlin, who was confused but okay with it. I promised her that my mom and I would explain everything. On Wednesday, I cleaned up and got ready for bed. I heard Kelsey talking quietly on the phone behind the closed door, and then I heard her crying softly as she felt sad about our marriage being over. Early the next morning, I heard Kelsey downstairs getting ready for work. At exactly 9 a.m., she took the package, but not the sensitive stuff. After that, she grabbed her things and left without saying where she was going, probably to meet Jason, her lawyer, or someone who understands her situation. Later, Bill called to tell me that both Jason and their company got our legal papers. Surprisingly, Shannon also sued Jason around the same time. Bill said it's important to be careful because Jason made threats against me. I didn't think Jason would do something risky because he's gained a lot, but I took precautions. I got my .45 gun from the safe, made sure it was loaded and ready, and put it on a chair while I watched TV. A few hours later, while standing at the sink, I spotted a black BMW pulling into my driveway, with an enraged Jason jumping out and retrieving a baseball bat from the back. I hurried back to my chair where my cell phone was and dialed emergency. Feeling safer with the door locked, I reported to the operator that my wife's boyfriend was in the driveway with a baseball bat, as I heard a second car pull up outside, accompanied by screams and voices indicating Kelsey's presence. A high-pitched screech pierced the air. I jumped as my front door shattered from the impact, and Jason burst inside, screaming threats at the top of his lungs. With my hand on the pistol grip, I remained calm. Jason swung the bat wildly as Kelsey screamed outside, pleading with him to stop. "I took your wife, and now I will eliminate you and take your daughter, too," he yelled furiously. I allowed him to advance another 5 feet before drawing my weapon. His narrowed eyes indicated poor judgment. Although his bat was raised above his head, it seemed unlikely to be effective. At a distance of 25 feet, the weapon shot from the chamber was deafening. I was trained to aim for my targets 3 times, relying on instinct. The second shot followed a split second after the first. Jason slowed down, perhaps due to momentum, and stumbled by the time the third round was fired. Though I noticed movement at the door, I remained focused on my task. The bullet pierced the splintered front door, narrowly missing Kelsey's head. She escaped without injury. Jason fell to his knees before collapsing on his stomach. The area echoed with screams, and the weapon shots seemed louder than expected. Sirens wailed as responding officers approached. Unsure of the situation's severity, they placed Kelsey on her stomach and handcuffed her by the open door, her cries continuing. Shocked by the unfolding events, I finally noticed the weapon aimed at me and the officer commanding, "Stop, drop the weapon." Coming to my senses, I complied and followed his orders. The following 2 weeks were a whirlwind of chaos and stress. Jason was declared dead at the scene. Later, I found out through police reports and eyewitnesses that he received both my lawsuit and updated divorce papers from his wife simultaneously. It didn't take him long to figure out that the incriminating photos came from me. Kelsey stood next to him as he opened the envelope from his wife and saw she had the same pictures. Soon after, they were called to the vice president's office and admitted to their affair, not knowing what would happen next. When the company realized I was suing them, they decided to fire the director for having a relationship with someone he supervised. Jason thought I was really bad for stopping him, so he got angry. He took a souvenir bat from the office and went to my house. Kelsey saw him from the conference room window and guessed where he was going. She met him in our driveway and tried to calm him down to stop him from hurting me. I knew they were coming, so I was ready. Jason hit Kelsey, giving her a black eye when she tried to stop him from coming in. She didn't get hurt more, but she had bad dreams for months. Amidst police interrogations, legal proceedings, and courtroom appearances, I spoke with her briefly, but we never delved into a deep discussion about the events that transpired in our home. Kelsey was a mere shadow of her former self, having lost her husband, lover and daughter in less than 24 hours. She never fully recovered. Kelsey remained in touch throughout the divorce proceedings and perhaps for about a month after its conclusion. Surprisingly, she never enlisted a lawyer or contested the divorce, allowing me to easily secure custody of Caitlin. However, to my surprise, she never fulfilled her part of the financial settlement. Bill held on to it for her, but eventually returned it to me a year later. She never returned to our home and instead stayed with family until she vanished. Despite a few supervised visits with Caitlin, they were often awkward or unproductive. Anyway, I made sure Caitlin was there for every visit, even if Kelsey didn't show up. She came about every 4th time. I found out Kelsey was relying on painkillers and other medicines to help with her feelings. When she disappeared, she didn't have a job, friends, or money. Nobody could reach her, and she stopped talking to us. We lost a wife and mom. We sold the house and got another one near Caitlin's school, trying to start over. Caitlin and I got help to deal with what happened. I went to counseling for 6 months, but then I had to move on and try to feel better. I had a daughter to take care of and a life to live. Caitlin went to counseling for a few years on and off because of the divorce and Kelsey disappearing. She struggled with a lot of emotional stuff. It took me 3 years to feel ready to start dating again. A few months later, I met a great woman named Jo. She was really understanding about Caitlin and me. We took things slow, but eventually we fell in love and got married about 16 months later. Jo treated Caitlin like her own daughter, but we decided not to have any more kids. Our lives got better and better over time. The hardest parts were Caitlin's big moments like graduating from high school and college. I asked Larry to help find Kelsey a few times, but we never found her. Most people thought she probably died feeling really sad and alone. It was a tough time, but we kept going as best we could and kept moving forward. I was glad I could come up with a plan and get the help I needed to make it work. Second story is my boyfriend cheating. Hey everyone, really struggling to manage this on my own and want to hear everyone's opinions. Me, I'm 24, and my partner, I'm 23, have been together for a little over 3 years now. We purchased a house together and live together full time. We get on so well, but lately I noticed that our intimate life was taking a slow decline. Intimacy is really important to me, and we used to be intimate 3-4 times a week. Lately, I've noticed my partner becoming a bit distant. I felt bad, but I couldn't help snooping through his phone and found out he had a secret Snapchat account. He was using it to chat with other guys and share intimate pictures, which was a big shock to me. Apart from that, everything seemed fine between us, and he acted like nothing was wrong. The account had been active for about 3 months. I confronted him about it, and he didn't deny it. He admitted to what he'd been doing and said he felt disgusted with himself. He apologized, and we tried to move past it. He deleted the account right in front of me. A few weeks ago, while he was showing me a picture on his phone, I noticed an icon for a gay app known for arranging hookups on his home screen. He seemed surprised, but I didn't bring it up. In present day, I've noticed that my boyfriend will come home from work and spend upwards of 45 minutes in the bathroom with no water running or TikTok videos playing, etc. He's just in there. I stress every day that he is locking himself in the bathroom to check dating apps or using a new secret Snapchat account. He has also started a new job where I have noticed that he has become particularly close with a coworker who claims to be straight, but I doubt it highly. They go out drinking and dance together, text each other all day, flirting, but in a friendly way. Can anyone please assist in giving advice or how it seems from an outsider's perspective? Should I be concerned? Thanks for joining us on this chapter of Relation Tales. If you are moved by these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Don't miss out on the upcoming emotional roller coaster of relationships. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to share more compelling tales with you. Until next time, remember, every relationship has a story worth telling. See you soon.